Stop growing disappointing tomatoes. If your tomato plants look healthy but the fruit tastes terrible, this video is going to save you an entire growing season. Because today, I am sharing the best tasting tomato varieties for beginners. The ones that are sweet, rich, juicy, productive, and actually worth the garden space. We are also going to cover how to start tomatoes from seed, how to avoid common tomato problems, how to trellis them properly, and how to grow healthier plants without relying on harsh chemicals. And by the end, you will know exactly which tomato variety I would plant first if I were starting over as a beginner. So let's grow by zone. Welcome to Grow by Zone, where we help you grow smarter, one plant at a time, zone by zone. Today we are talking about one of the most loved garden plants in the world, tomatoes. Tomatoes are warm season plants, which means they love heat, sunshine, and long growing days. They can be grown in almost every USDA growing zone, but the timing will look different depending on where you live. If you are in cooler zones like zones 3 through 6, you will usually start tomato seeds indoors and transplant them outside after your last frost. If you are in zones 7 through 10, you may have a longer growing season, and in some warmer areas, you may even be able to grow tomatoes in both spring and fall. Tomatoes originally come from western South America and were later grown throughout Central America and Mexico before spreading around the world. Today, they are one of the most popular garden crops because fresh tomatoes taste completely different from most store-bought tomatoes. There are several main types of tomatoes. You have cherry tomatoes, which are small, sweet, and perfect for snacking. You have slicing tomatoes, which are larger and great for sandwiches, burgers, and fresh eating. You have paste tomatoes, which are meatier and better for sauces, soups, and salsa. And then you have heirloom tomatoes, which are known for their rich flavor, beautiful colors, and old-fashioned garden taste. Tomatoes are also packed with nutrition. They contain vitamin C, potassium, folate, and antioxidants like lycopene. Lycopene is one of the nutrients that gives many tomatoes their red color, and it is one reason tomatoes are such a valuable food to grow at home. Tomatoes are usually best started from seed indoors or purchased as healthy starter plants from a nursery. If you are starting tomatoes from seed, begin indoors about 6 to 8 weeks before your last expected frost date. Tomato seeds usually germinate in about 5 to 10 days when the soil is warm, ideally around 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Plant the seeds about 1/4 inch deep in a seed starting mix. Keep the soil lightly moist but not soaking wet. Once they sprout, make sure they get strong light. A sunny window can work, but a grow light is even better because tomato seedlings can get tall and weak if they are reaching for light. Tomatoes like to be started warm, bright, and protected. They do not like cold soil, cold wind, or being rushed into the garden too early. Before planting tomatoes outside, you need to harden them off. That means slowly introducing them to outdoor sun, wind, and temperature changes over about 7 to 10 days. Do not take baby tomato plants straight from indoors and place them into full sun all day. That can shock the plant. When it is time to transplant, plant tomatoes deep. This is one of the best tomato growing tricks for beginners. Remove the lower leaves and bury part of the stem. Tomatoes can grow roots along the buried stem, which helps create a stronger root system. Tomatoes need full sun, which means at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. They also need rich, well-draining soil with compost mixed in. Water deeply and consistently at the base of the plant. Try not to splash water all over the leaves because wet leaves can invite disease. A layer of mulch around the plant helps hold moisture, reduce weeds, and keep soil from splashing onto the leaves. Most tomato plants also need support. For beginners, a strong tomato cage can work, especially for determinate or smaller tomato plants. But for bigger indeterminate tomatoes, you may need something stronger. One great method is the Florida weave, where you place stakes between your tomato plants and weave twine around them as they grow. This keeps the plants upright and supported. Another option is a tall stake, where you loosely tie the main stem to the stake as the tomato grows. You can also use a vertical string trellis if you have overhead support, which works beautifully for indeterminate tomatoes. Tomatoes are usually ready to harvest anywhere from 55 to 90 days after transplanting, depending on the variety. Cherry tomatoes are usually faster, while larger slicing and heirloom tomatoes often take longer. Harvest tomatoes when they are fully colored, slightly soft, and easy to twist from the vine. For the best flavor, store fresh tomatoes at room temperature, not in the refrigerator. Refrigeration can dull their flavor and change their texture. If you have too many ripe tomatoes at once, you can freeze them for sauces, soups, and chili later. Now let's talk about where tomatoes can get a little tricky, because tomatoes are beginner friendly, but they can be sensitive when their growing conditions are inconsistent. One of the biggest beginner mistakes is inconsistent watering. If tomatoes dry out too much and then suddenly get a lot of water, the fruit can crack. Inconsistent watering can also contribute to blossom end rot, which is when the bottom of the tomato turns dark, sunken, and damaged. A lot of people think blossom end rot means the soil has no calcium, but many times the real problem is that the plant is not able to absorb calcium properly because the watering is uneven. So the goal is steady moisture, not soaking wet soil, and not bone dry soil. Another common issue is poor airflow. Tomatoes do not like to be crowded. If the plants are packed too close together, the leaves stay damp longer, and that can lead to fungal problems. Give your tomato plant space, prune off lower leaves that touch the soil, and avoid watering from overhead. Tomatoes can also struggle with diseases like early blight, late blight, powdery mildew, leaf spot, and wilt diseases. The best natural prevention is to start with healthy soil, mulch around the base, water at the soil line, give the plants good spacing, and remove any yellowing or diseased leaves quickly. Now let's talk about harmful pests. One of the most famous tomato pests is the tomato hornworm. These big green caterpillars can blend right into the plant, but they can strip leaves very quickly. You may also see aphids, whiteflies, flea beetles, spider mites, stink bugs, and cutworms. For natural remedies, start with the gentlest option first. Hornworms can be hand-picked off the plant. Aphids can often be sprayed off with a strong stream of water. You can also use insecticidal soap if the pest pressure gets worse, but avoid spraying during the hottest part of the day or when bees are active. Neem oil can be helpful for certain pest problems, but use it carefully. Even natural sprays can harm beneficial insects if they are overused or sprayed at the wrong time. Now let's talk about the good insects. Beneficial insects like ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, parasitic wasps, and praying mantises can help control pests naturally. And here is one thing every beginner should know. If you see a tomato hornworm with little white cocoons on its back, do not remove it. Those are usually from parasitic wasps, and those wasps are helping control the hornworm population in your garden. Companion planting can also support healthier tomato plants. Basil is a classic companion for tomatoes and is wonderful in the kitchen too. Marigolds can help attract beneficial insects. Nasturtiums can act as a trap crop for aphids. Flowers and herbs like calendula, dill, parsley, borage, and zinnias can help bring pollinators and beneficial insects into the garden. Here are my top 5 best tasting tomato varieties for beginners, counting down from number 5 to number 1. Number 5 is San Marzano. San Marzano is a paste tomato, which means it is meatier and less watery than many slicing tomatoes. It is one of the best choices for sauces, soups, salsa, and cooking. If you want homemade tomato sauce from your garden, San Marzano is a wonderful variety to try. Number 4 is Brandywine. Brandywine is a legendary heirloom slicing tomato with big fruit and rich classic tomato flavor. It can be a little more demanding than cherry tomatoes, but if you want that old-fashioned tomato sandwich taste, Brandywine is one of the most famous varieties for a reason. Number 3 is Cherokee Purple. Cherokee Purple is a famous heirloom tomato known for its deep, smoky, sweet flavor. It has a darker color, softer texture, and old-fashioned taste that tomato lovers really appreciate. It may not always look perfect, but the flavor is the reason people keep growing it. Number 2 is Black Cherry. Black cherry tomatoes are small, rich, sweet, and complex. They have that deep heirloom-style flavor, but they are usually easier and more productive than many larger heirloom tomatoes. They are great for salads, snacking, and adding beautiful color to your harvest. And number 1 is Sun Gold. Sun Gold is a cherry tomato with sweet, fruity, almost tropical flavor. It is very productive, beginner-friendly, and perfect for snacking straight from the garden. If I were starting over as a beginner and could only grow one tomato for flavor, Sun Gold would be my first choice. If you want to know what grows best in your zone, make sure to follow along, because here on Grow by Zone, we are going plant by plant, zone by zone, and helping you grow smarter wherever you live. And before you go, visit our website to download your free one-page tomato growing guide so you can keep these tips with you while you plant, grow, and harvest. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. We will see you next time.